What if I told you that South Africa's top police officials are being accused of working with criminals instead of fighting them? That a powerful SAPS commissioner just blew the whistle, publicly, on his own bosses for sabotaging investigations into political assassinations. This isn't just another scandal, this could be the biggest betrayal of public trust since state capture. In this episode of SA Unfiltered, we dive deep into the bombshell allegations shaking the SAPS to its core and expose the web of power, crime, and silence that threatens the very soul of our democracy. When the very institution meant to protect South Africans is accused of working hand in hand with the very criminals it is meant to dismantle, the nation does not just gasp, it trembles. In a bombshell that's shaking the core of South Africa's law enforcement and political institutions, KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has made startling allegations. And these aren't whispers in a dark corridor. These are public, direct, and damning accusations that have now thrown the South African police service into its most serious legitimacy crisis in decades. The man at the center of this explosive storm: Minister of Police Senzo Mchunu and SAPS Deputy Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya, two of the most powerful figures in the country's law enforcement chain of command. Mkhwanazi did not mince his words. He claims that Minister Mchunu and Sibiya not only interfered with high-profile investigations, but actively dismantled a special task team investigating political assassinations in KwaZulu-Natal. This province has become notorious for targeted killings, many linked to political rivalry and control of local economic projects. It was in this tense, blood-stained environment that the task team had begun making progress, until, allegedly, it was purposefully dismantled. And now, Mkhwanazi has accused his seniors of shielding political elites who may be tied to these violent crimes. South Africans, already exhausted by years of revelations from the Zondo Commission, the Gupta state capture era, and a seemingly endless carousel of corruption cases, are now being asked to consider something even more terrifying: that elements of the police themselves, the very protectors of our constitutional order, may be entangled in criminal networks. This is not just another scandal, it's a ticking time bomb beneath the country's already fragile social contract. What makes these allegations even more potent is their source. Mkhwanazi is not a marginal figure. He is a seasoned law enforcement officer with a track record of discipline and professionalism. For someone of his stature to go public means one thing: he believes the rot has reached such a critical level that silence is no longer an option. That level of courage is rare in a country where whistleblowers often pay with their lives, reputations, or careers. According to the commissioner, the disbanding of the political assassination task team had no operational justification. Officers were allegedly removed, files transferred, and investigative momentum lost. For families of victims, this wasn't just bureaucratic interference, it was the reopening of a wound they thought the justice system was finally addressing. For ordinary citizens, it signals the horrifying possibility that criminals and politicians are working together, protected from consequences by the very institutions that should be holding them accountable. The timing could not be more consequential. South Africa is currently under a fragile government of national unity, with the ANC struggling to maintain moral and political authority. President Cyril Ramaphosa, often praised for his calm demeanor and economic diplomacy, now finds himself cornered. Can he continue to project international confidence at BRICS summits while chaos brews at home? Or will this scandal force his hand into a reshuffling of his cabinet and a deep cleanup of law enforcement structures? The ANC's credibility, already eroded by years of corruption scandals and policy stagnation, now hangs by a thread. The opposition smells blood in the water. The EFF, DA, Action SA, and smaller parties have seized the moment, calling for independent inquiries, parliamentary oversight, and even the resignation or suspension of implicated figures pending investigation. But even beyond party politics, there is a swell of public anger rising from civil society organizations, legal advocacy groups, and the general public. South Africans want answers, not speeches. Justice, not lip service. Reform, not reshuffling. The implications are severe. If the allegations prove accurate, it means South Africa's police ministry has actively undermined justice in favor of political preservation. It means citizens have been left vulnerable, while their taxes fund an institution that may be facilitating the very violence it is meant to stop. It means whistleblowers within the SAPS will think twice before coming forward. It means the trust deficit between citizens and the state, already dangerously wide, may become a permanent chasm. Let's not forget, these accusations come in a climate of fear. South Africa has seen a spike in political killings, gang-linked assassinations, extortion rackets in the construction industry, and murder-for-hire schemes tied to municipal power struggles. These are not isolated events. They are part of a pattern, a culture of impunity that thrives when power is unaccountable and institutions are hollowed out. The Mkhwanazi allegations are not just about one task force. They're about a system that may be fundamentally compromised. We must also acknowledge the bravery it took for this to come to light. In a country where whistleblowers like Babita Deokaran paid the ultimate price for standing up against corruption, the public has a duty to support those who speak out. Mkhwanazi's voice must not be lost in the noise. He must be protected. Investigative journalists must be empowered. And Parliament must act, not next month, not after another committee meeting, but now. If these allegations are swept under the rug, it sends a chilling message that power protects power, and truth is expendable. But if action is taken, swift, transparent, and uncompromising action, then this moment can become a turning point. It can be the moment South Africa finally decides that corruption is not just bad politics, but treason against the people. To every South African watching this, ask yourself, how many more stories like this must emerge before we say enough is enough? How many more investigations must stall before we see accountability? The truth is, nothing changes until citizens demand it. Power responds to pressure. And now, more than ever, that pressure must come from the ground up. This is not about party lines. This is not about personalities. This is about survival. The survival of justice. The survival of accountability. The survival of democracy itself. A society where crime and power merge is a society on the brink of collapse. We must not let that be our fate.